Dry farming is the eschewal of supplementary irrigation after a vineyard is established. So in other words, you irrigate a vineyard to establish it, but once the vines are established, you let nature take its course and you rely on the atmosphere, you rely on the precipitation that comes from the atmosphere rather than supplemental irrigation.
In a drought season?
In drought season, it's very bad. Very bad. This year in California, if you're dry farming, you are hosed so bad, as it were. It doesn't rain in California in the summer, and this year it didn't rain in the winter much either. So, I mean, to dry farm successfully, you should grow grapes in areas that have enough typical natural rainfall. I mean, of course, with global climate change, all bets are off. But you want to grow grapes in areas that have enough natural rainfall, and then the soils, you want to grow them in soils that have enough water holding capacity, because you really don't want to lose any of your water. You don't want any of it to run off. And then there are certain techniques in the way you farm to capture all the rain that does land. You don't really want to lose any, not a drop. Well, there's a lot of differences between dry farm grapes and irrigated grapes, and certainly in extreme years, such as we have this year in California, probably dry farming would be an utter disaster. Probably in some areas, no crop at all to speak of. Not to mention potential threatening of the vines themselves. So that's not good. But in general, if you can pull it off, dry farming produces much more intensely flavored grapes, smaller clusters, smaller berries, much more intense flavors, lower yield, of course, much lower yield. And the other thing that's kind of somewhat difficult to characterize is a vibrancy to the wine. And it's not just simply the fact that the clusters are smaller and there's a concentration effect, but the vine itself has been exploring a larger soil area, so therefore has been mining minerals throughout a larger soil volume. As a result, there's a much greater imprint of the soil medium itself. Whether you call this minerality, whether you call this terroir, it's a quality that adds another dimension to the wine. It's not necessarily observed when you're irrigating. It just adds just another facet, another quality to the wine.
And is that true for both red and white grapes?
It's true for both red and white grapes. White grapes are trickier to dry farm, because the thing with dry farming is the vines are much more prone to water stress, and white grapes, when they're stressed, can develop some flavors that are not so elegant. In fact, any grapes that are overly stressed can develop a pruny or raisinated quality, which is not generally what you're looking for. You want stressed grapes, but not stressed to the max grapes. Slightly stressed grapes. Why not? We've actually planted small test plots of bouquet, and the wine it makes is utterly delicious.